Hello and welcome to TJ's Soapbox with TJ Gausman. Hey, TJ.
Hey, Jen, we're back. Let's do it.
Let's do it. So one of the things that you and your team have been dealing with is how to setting your buyer's offers apart from everybody else. What are you doing?
Well, yeah, and this is a national topic right now, right? We're in the
It's
super
been the
sellers
damn
market.
topic for years, feels like.
It's never going to end. It's never going to end. Yeah. So, we're trying to figure out, and obviously there's some obvious stuff. I think there's some stuff that's a little bit next level, on how to get our buyer's offer accepted when there's 10 offers
Yeah.
or 15 or
Yeah.
3. A couple things that we find advantageous, escalation clauses, I think are awesome. And I know some people have strong thoughts against them.
Yeah.
Here's my argument. So in a normal market, I think you're showing your hand. Okay. And I get the argument there. You're saying, hey, this is what my people will pay.
Yeah.
In this market, it doesn't matter. I mean, you're going to have to
so
come
why
with your
bother
best
doing it? Just put them what they're willing, the most they're willing to pay.
Yeah, I mean, I hear you. Let me give an example on why that can blow up. So I had a listing. I'm not going to use real numbers because I don't want to put, anybody in this story.
That's fine.
But we'll do this. So let's say it was a $500,000 listing. Okay, and I had 6 offers. My highest offer was 540,000 outside of the one, right?
Mhm.
And this one didn't do an escalation clause and offered 575. 575. I mean, now if she would have just done 5,000 over, they get the house at 545, win.
The problem
And
is from a list, like the problem is that what if you get 4 of your 10 offers all have escalation clauses? It gets very convoluted very quickly.
yeah, but you know what? Like, we're paid to deal with convoluted. Like,
Look,
we
I'm
deal
paid
with
to
that.
calm people down.
Yeah, that's true. There's something to be said about that. But the thing is, I think escalation clauses, like one thing that we do, like let's say a house listed at 225. Okay, we'll just use an easy one.
Yeah.
And escalation clauses, most people's minds think in $5,000 and $25,000 increments.
Okay.
So you're going to get escalation clauses. Probably your highest one's going to be 250.
Yeah.
One thing that we do is use odd numbers, try to set things apart. So
That
if I
definitely
can get
helps.
them to right, like if I can get them to 250, let me get them 253.
Yeah.
And we find that works. Like it's wherever you go is where everybody else is going to go.
Right.
A little bit of a jump there can make a huge difference.
Right. And it won't matter that much to the buyer from like,
no, it's nothing.
Bringing what they bring to the table or what the loan is. It's not much. What are your,
okay,
so escalation clauses I see your point. I just don't know that I fully agree, but that's okay. That's okay.
That's okay. That's okay. Yeah. And I'd say we do escalation clauses on 90% of offers, maybe more. I mean, every offer, I think, really.
Unless I've been seeing a lot of agents not taking them. Have you noticed that?
Yeah, right. We see that too. Yeah. And I've got a little issue with that, frankly, because like there's no way your seller told you that. There's just no way. Nobody knows what it is. So like, I mean, I think it's a little weird, but whatever.
Just because you can't do math doesn't mean that. Yeah.
So but whatever. It is what it is.
I think one of the tips that has helped too is kind of like a two-parter. And it really, I think to your point though, you had mentioned there's like kind of next level stuff. It also depends on the other agent that you're dealing with, right?
Yeah, big time.
Yeah. So this one is to get the buyer like fully underwritten, ready to go. And having the letter like say that explicitly, that they are ready to go, like that this like from the lender, like they are fully underwritten, like they are ready.
Yep.
And I think that goes a long way because the sellers are reading those letters. They may not understand them, but they will get that.
Yeah. And we have our top lenders, we'll have them make calls and call the listing agent and
Yeah.
say like, this person's good. If they're not putting down 20%, we tell them why.
Yeah.
They can, but they're so we want to really make them see these people as people, let them know that they're good risk. Another thing, everybody's got Ring doorbell now,
Yeah.
right? Like it's a thing. If you don't think your sellers are looking at those, you're out of your mind.
Right.
Um, take your shoes off, be respectful to their home. These things matter. It's like, it's the
Yeah.
little stuff that like, and you'll find out, you'll be shocked. Like you were the only people that did this. And
Yeah.
it's crazy what sellers consider when all of the offers are great.
Right,
So
exactly. That's a good, and to that point, like even though they're not really allowed to have it be recorded unless it's
yeah,
just shut the hell up. Talk
you
outside.
got it. Yeah.
Look at the
Yep.
house.
And you
Go
know what?
outside.
You got it. And we always tell our clients, like, be very complimentary. Don't overshow your hand, but like let them know, like, wow, that they've taken really good care of the house. Like
Right.
things that are gonna make the seller feel good.
Yeah.
You know, when we're talking about the contract, appraisal gaps, we're doing them, right? And the reason that we're doing them is when I sit down with a buyer, or when our team members do, we tell them what they need to do to win. We
Right.
don't tell them, necessarily that it's the best thing for them. And sometimes that's a conversation like, look, like we're not suggesting you do this, but we think that this is what it's going to take to win.
Right.
Um, appraisal gaps are one of those things. Like on paper, it doesn't make a ton of sense, but guys, if your client loves the house, like what's 5 grand? What's 10
Right.
grand? It's nominal in the big scheme. So I think that's something. And appraisal gaps, good. And then
Well, any type of
all of
contingency that you can remove is going to be good or solve in some
huge.
other type of way, right? So an
Yes.
appraisal, the seller's being concerned that the offer is too high, that it won't appraise out, the gap solves that.
Yep.
What was the
Yep.
other thing you were
And
going to say?
well, I was going to say you can win with a gap with a lesser offer,
Yeah.
because, we all know what it's going to appraise at within reason. I mean, if you're good at comps and you know what you're looking
There's a
at, there
ton of
shouldn't be.
offers that lose because they're way too high. And it's like,
Absolutely.
these people are being like, it's unreasonable, like
Yep.
there's no way that this is going to appraise, they're just trying to get it. But I think like one of the things that I've been seeing a lot of is obviously like people doing no inspections. And it's like,
Yeah.
oh, so one of the
Yeah.
ways that we've solved kind of that little issue, if that's not very comfortable for the buyer to do, and for most buyers it's not, right? Is
Yes.
to call the inspector ahead of time and like pencil it in for like that evening or like the next morning or whatever. So it's like, hey, the buyers will allow the sellers to keep it in an active status after accepting our offer. And we'll do the inspection and we'll get back to them by such and such a time, like the next day. So it's all done very quickly. They don't have to go because they're concerned. The seller's concern is, I don't want it to go under contract and then the inspection not working or us not agreeing, right? So you can alleviate
Yes.
that concern.
Yeah, I love that. We don't do that. That's smart. But yeah, if you're doing like a 10-day inspection window, like it's dumb, guys.
It's too
Do
long.
3 days. Do two. Yeah, it's unnecessary. We do inspections for informational purposes only on most of our deals.
Or
This
say I won't
essentially,
ask for like any single thing that's less than a certain dollar amount.
yeah,
So I'm only asking for big
yeah,
things.
yeah, and I think that's how inspections are built anyway. And bottom line is like, I think inspections for pass fail is a really good way to do it. Like, look, we'll either take the house or we won't. We're
Right.
not going to ask for anything.
Right.
But yeah, if you're telling your clients in this market that you can negotiate based on appraisal or inspections, you got to be really careful, because like the sellers know they're in control.
Right.
And the worst, in my opinion, the worst thing you can do is set a client up to go under contract and fall out. I mean,
Yeah.
in this market, it's heartbreaking.
Yeah.
It's brutal. And I think those kind of tips and tricks are solid. High earnest money, I think it doesn't matter in Ohio, but it still looks good. Like
if
these
you
things,
know,
these
so
are
you
like,
can tell by the house and by the pictures and stuff, you can kind of tell who the sellers are, right? So if in based on who they are, what is their thinking? So if you can tell it's like an older person's home, here's what they're thinking. They want high earnest money, they want a high price, and they want a high down payment. And if you don't have that, then they think that you can't afford the house.
you got it. Yep.
So
Nailed
give
it.
them what the freak they want, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. You're absolutely right. And then the last piece, and probably the biggest piece, and I would say 90% of agents aren't doing it. Call the listing agent and ask them what the seller wants. Like, it doesn't
This is
happen, Jen.
music
They
to
don't
my
call.
ears. Can you say it again, please?
Yeah, you got to call the listing agent. People don't do it. We list a lot of houses. You list a lot of houses. Nobody calls.
Well, I call the
Nobody calls.
buyer's agent because as the listing agent, like this is when the buyer's going to show the house, this is when they will tell you everything and mostly stuff they shouldn't be telling you, but they tell you. And this helps you
Yeah.
get in a better selling negotiation position for your sellers. Because if you know crap about the buyer that you know that they don't, you know what I mean? Like you could be like, oh, this
Yes.
is when the buyer's agents will be like, oh my gosh, they've lost 4 houses. They really need to move. They're blah, blah, blah,
Yeah.
blah, 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 blah. You're like, okay, let me get the sellers what they
Yes.
want.
Yeah. Yeah. And two things that I think are important, one that I hate and one that I love. One that I hate, don't call on the first day on market and ask if the price is negotiable.
That
It's
it's
like,
not.
don't be dumb. It's not, no. And it makes me already feel weird about what your intent is,
Right.
as a listing agent. And as a buyer's agent, my favorite question, if I had one question I can
What is
ask,
it?
because they answer it, is there a buy it now price?
Oh,
I
that's a
love
great
this.
question.
It is a great question. And let me tell you, so often I hear, let me call the seller and ask, and they call back and they'll say, yeah, if you can do X, we'll do the deal. And for some reason, like, this question cuts through all the BS. It doesn't offend. And like, you can take out so much of the headache with
You
is
know
there a buy
what?
it now price?
You're a genius. That is a great
Oh,
question.
that makes me feel good. I probably learned it from you on a previous
I
podcast,
don't think
but
so, but I like it.
yeah, I do too. It's very cool. And you know what? Like, it's not nasty. It's not, digging too hard. Like, if they want to ask the seller, but like, if you're a seller, you have a number. I
Yeah,
believe that. You have a
absolutely. You
number
have
that
a number that you're like, you don't
you,
want a billion people traipsing through your house, potentially stealing your
you got it.
medications and your dog's toys and stuff, or
You've got
kids
it.
touching things. Yeah, they want to
Give
be
me the
done.
number. Yep.
I
Give
love
me
it.
the number. I'll give you what you want, and let's get under contract. So, I think if you can do those things and really just call, be in contact with your lender, your agents. This is, if you ever do a deal with a really high producing good agent, they're calling. I
Yeah,
promise.
they are definitely
It
calling.
never fails.
I
Yeah.
agree.
So,
Well,
yeah, those are
TJ,
just some of the quick ones.
those are good. So if
Thanks.
people like want to kind of brainstorm with you on some other ideas, or they have an interest in possibly partnering with you, what is the best
Yeah.
way to get a hold of you?
Yeah, so we're in Cincinnati, 513-379-2000. For Cincinnati agents, we're going to be looking to do some workspace events where we're going to work together. We really want to build community within EXP and outside of EXP. So we'd love to talk to you, anybody who's interested.
Making real estate fun again, right, TJ?
You got it. That's fun. I love that.
Have a good one. I'll talk to you later.
Thanks, Jen. Big